Hi, this is Marty Lecklatter, Product Manager for Leap, with a video on new support for directory lookups against Microsoft Entra ID. This is available now with Leap 939. It's important to understand the difference between authentication versus directory lookups. Authentication essentially establishes your identity and gives you access to Leap. Lookups, on the other hand, are where you're looking up users and groups in a directory. Years ago, when software was installed primarily on-prem, everything was done through LDAP. More recently, as organizations have moved to IDPs and their directories to the cloud, we see OIDC as a way to do single sign-on. It gets you in the door, but LDAP has been the way to do directory lookups in Leap. Many organizations have moved their directory to Microsoft. What was previously called Azure Active Directory is now called Entra ID on the Microsoft Cloud. So for organizations that have moved their directory to Microsoft's cloud, it might make sense for them to use Entra ID for OIDC as well as for directory lookups. Now, while it is possible to deploy Leap without directory lookups, you're missing out on some important functionality. This instance of Leap has been configured with Microsoft Entra Directory Services, and it allows me to do a search and type ahead so that I can select the right group or individual for assigning permissions. I also need directory lookups if I'm going to use the name picker. Here in the authoring mode, you can see that it's searching, and if I preview this, you can see how it searches there. So starting with Leap 939, you'll see in the documentation some details for how to integrate Leap with Microsoft Entra ID. There's a couple of steps here. First is you need to configure Microsoft Entra ID for Leap. And then the second is you need to make some configuration changes in Leap. The first step in Entra is to register Leap as an application. And then the next thing you need to do is configure the secrets. And then you go through a series of steps to assign permissions. So then on the Leap side, what you want to do is set some properties. The first is to turn this feature on. And then you want to give it the tenant ID for your Microsoft account. And then finally, you need to configure your credential alias for communicating with Microsoft. It's going to use the secrets that you set up with Microsoft as well as your tenant ID. And how you do this is going to be slightly different whether you're a WebSphere install or a Kubernetes install. Also in Leap 939, you will see improved documentation for how to configure Leap with OIDC, specifically Microsoft Entra OIDC. So in summary, directory lookups are an important feature you want to enable in your Leap deployment. And now you can do it against Microsoft Entra ID. This gives you more flexibility in how you deploy Leap, and it allows you to leverage your Microsoft investment. Follow the QR code for more details. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this.